Okay, I've got it started.
You could,
So
yeah, yeah.
shut it.
All right, very good.
I'm going to turn on the recording and see if I can go to the participant. Oh. Now, where do I let them in?
I can do it. I think.
Where is it, Earl? On the
At the bottom of the screen towards the left, it says participants. Currently says 19.
right. Yeah. So do I need to do anything beyond that?
We'll have to let them in if they're. It doesn't show any waiting in the waiting room. And then you and I are listed as the panelists. So still counting up. So
I'll introduce you and then I'll go off.
sounds good. You'll
So
just
how do we open
go off
it?
camera.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we open it?
The introduction. Normally,
Yeah.
you just introduce yourself and score just briefly, and then just hand it over to me. I'll do my own intro,
But
so you don't have to mess with that.
don't we open it somehow right now so that they're listening?
I believe they're all coming in.
Okay. So we can start.
Let me check on the chat. I'll send a chat out to everybody. All right, could we get someone in the chat? Go ahead and put a message in the chat that you can see the slides or hear the audio, please.
All is good. We're getting some. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is David Esch, and I'm a Piedmont SCORE mentor. I've been with SCORE about 15 years, and Piedmont SCORE covers the 10 counties of the upstate. We provide free mentoring services as well as other resources, and we collaborate and are partners with the Small Business Administration. Earl Gregorich is a small business outreach and marketing specialist, and we have collaborated with Earl my entire time almost that I've been with SCORE over the years. A great resource to work with small businesses, and he's kept up to date in many ways. He's an author as well as he's a writer and a small business building. And if you look at his LinkedIn page, I liked one thing that he said is keeping small business dreams from becoming nightmares. And I think that using AI in an effective way to market your small business is one of those things of navigating the rules, regulations, and the new things that are happening with AI and small businesses. So Earl, welcome to our webinar, and over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody coming in today. Looks like we got a good crowd, so please do put your questions in the box. Q&A, it looks like, is the way to go. Chat is not enabled for everyone, but Q&A is. So please do put your questions there if you have a question. And David will interrupt and tell me that I need to stop and answer that question for you. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Let me here. There we go. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Small Business Administration, most everybody has seen the logo or heard of us at this point, but just a real quick recap on some of the things that we do. We're here to help you start, grow, expand, and recover your small business. Start and grow is pretty self-explanatory. If you're in startup mode, early stage, we have a lot of resources available to you through our SCORE chapters, SBDCs, women's business centers, veteran business outreach centers, a lot of different organizations that we have under our umbrella. They offer no-cost counseling, coaching, and sometimes research uh, services to you as a small business owner. So do reach out for those. There's not a shortage of resources. I just need to get out there and make an appointment. As far as expansion goes, we focus there on primarily helping small businesses gain government contract work. We also have import-export specialists that can help you with exporting if that's an area that you're interested in as well. And there's some other services that come into play. Maybe it's surety bonds that may be needed and so on. But I like to tell people, hey, we are a good first phone call. We're very well connected. And if I don't have the answer available, I know somebody who can get it for you. And we don't cost you anything to work with us. So reach out to us when you have the opportunity. Work with any of our resource partners. As you see the slide there, list some of those out. And we'll be happy to help you navigate what's available to you. All right, so let's talk about AI and using it to market your business. So at this point, most everybody has at least heard of artificial intelligence or possibly dabbled in it a little bit. We're going to cover some actual examples that I use to teach businesses how to actually get out there and apply some of the AI platforms. You may hear me refer to them as GPTs. You may hear me say the platform. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, some of the ones that you may be working with out there. So how do we actually take some of these neat tools that are giving us the content and the like that we typically are generating with them? How do we actually apply those to improve some marketing aspects of our business? So one of the first things that you have to do is you have to get really good at having a conversation with these platforms. And I mean that as it sounds. This is not a fancy search box. This is not the Google box that you type in just a phrase and you get a laundry list of answers back. This is a conversation that you're having with a artificial intelligence bot. And as you feed it more information, as you give it examples, as you ask it questions, as you approve of what's coming in or disapprove of what's coming in, it is taking that in and learning along the way. So you're actually having a conversation, much like you would with a person who would take into context some of the things that you just said, maybe a couple of questions ago. That it will take that into consideration when it's thinking about, so to speak, your next question. So how you prompt AI is extremely important. You see some guidelines here on this slide using short instructions, applying personas. Who are we talking to? Who are we talking about? Who are we trying to reach? Who am I, the person who's asking you the questions? Defining objectives, being clear about what is it we're trying to do here, and being very descriptive, very specific about the aspects of the conversation. So if you don't assume that it knows about your product. Don't assume that it has an idea of what your brand is like. You have to tell it these things. And then, as I also mentioned, using examples. So if you can jump out on the web and grab an example of, a particular writing style or of a particular product and feed that to the GPT or the platform, it's going to learn then, oh, that's what you want. That's how you want to say that. And that makes it even more useful. So I want you to think about how you interact with the platforms as a conversation. The other thing I would also maybe have you consider is when you're developing these prompts, and I'm going to be giving you some good examples and some bad examples of prompts so you can figure out how to pull these together. When you're putting these together, when you find a prompt that is working for you, it's giving you the right answers consistently, it is giving you good feedback, it sounds like you, looks like you, save those prompts, get a Word document and just copy and paste those prompts into that Word document and keep those around so that you can reuse those prompts. Create a library, so to speak, of prompts. There are some out there, they already exist, so you can download prompts for marketing and all kinds of different aspects of running a business. So take a look at those. You may find some that are already out there that you could actually apply directly to your business. So as I said, I'm going to give you some examples here of some good and bad prompts. This slide here shows some examples of some very bad prompts because they're very general in nature. I'll give you some examples there on why they may not work. So if we're looking at the their catchy option for my Instagram content, well, in that particular case, we don't know. We haven't defined what is catchy. So this is a situation where you would have to define that. We did tell it what Instagram or what social media platform we're in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to get our particular style. So again, you tell it thinking about who we are, what does catchy mean, and so on. And you can kind of see those other two examples there. Also, they're very general in their request. So 3 ideas for social media content. Well, what social media? What type of content? Do we want pictures? Do we want text? Well, that's not going to work. Engaging posts for my brand. Well, you haven't told me what your brand is. What does it look like? What kind of style do you use? So again, be much more specific. So here's an example of what a better prompt might be. So here we get much more detailed, and this is all one entry, one prompt that I would use on a platform. It's not, it could be individuals if you want to break it up, but you can write this entire prompt in one uh, question, so to speak. And notice that I'm asking it to do a caption for LinkedIn. I'm telling it what it's about, the future of remote work, and also I'm telling you what audience that I'm going for, young managers in the tech sector. I'm telling you what kind of topic that I've got. I'm even telling you what grammatically how I want it written in first person. And then I also give the platform my link to my LinkedIn account saying, hey, go look at how I write there so that when you give me your answer, give me this content back, it sounds like me. And it goes out and then kind of reads that, so to speak, learns how I have interacted in the past, and it gives me that content back in that style. So it's just kind of an example of how you can improve on prompts. I could probably tweak this for another hour if I wanted to, but this is certainly much, much better than much shorter and so you want to get very specific if you can. So today, I'm going to only do a couple of these projects in the interest of time. And this is normally a couple-hour class, so we're going to focus on just a couple of these examples. But if you do get the slides, we'll send those out after the fact. We'll send you the slides, and it will take you through all 4 of these examples in the slide deck, so you'll be able to get those as well. And of course, you can always reach out to me afterwards, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on the examples we don't cover in today's class. All right. So first thing we're going to do is going to do something very simple. This is building a marketing plan. Most small businesses don't take the time to build out a marketing plan. And it's mainly like everything else, just don't have the time, don't have the resources, maybe not quite sure what goes in a marketing plan. Sounds like a daunting task. So I use this as kind of a twofold. One, I'm trying to get you all out there to consider making a marketing plan for your small business. And two, I want you to see how quickly you might be able to put together something of substance that you could actually apply to the business. So some of the things that you're going to need to do in order to start a marketing plan, and again, you can choose your GPT of choice to create this. All of them do a very good job with text and pulling together information from online sources. So this one's pretty easy to introduce yourself to AI. So first one that we want to do is we want to make sure that the GPT knows about our products, our services, us, our business. We want to really educate it on who we are and what we're about. We want to be very specific. We want to maybe tell it what kind of marketing tactics we prefer or we're considering. We want to tell it as much as we possibly can about the target market as we see it. If we're not sure about that, that's another thing that you could use AI for, is to say, this is what I sell. This is who I think is my number one customer. Go out there and find me other possibilities for target markets for this product, and it can help you do that as well. But in this case, we're going to say we know our target market. We're going to put that out there. We're going to describe our products. We're even going to tell it what is it we're trying to do here. Are we trying to gain our first 1,000 customers? Are we earning our first 10,000 social media followers? What are we doing? We're giving it a goal so that it knows how to approach its answers. So I went out to, in this case, I'm going to use ChatGPT, and I'm giving you screenshots here of this. AI, as it is a very fluid technology, and for that reason, we don't use live examples on federal equipment. So you screenshots is the best I can do for you, unfortunately, on some of this. But ChatGPT is what I use on this particular example. And you see, I started out with a very general prompt. I said, create a small business digital marketing plan. That was my prompt. Well, I didn't do the very thing that I was telling you that I must do here. I just went in with a very general prompt and said, just give me a marketing plan. And this is what I got back: develop a robust online presence, email marketing. And it went on further, but for the screenshot purpose, I kept it to just these 2 paragraphs. You can see that it, even with the very general request, it gave me a outline of what typically would go into a marketing plan. And notice that when I said, since I said digital marketing, these are pretty well focused on online efforts. So even with the very limited prompt that I gave it, it still gave me some semi-focused answers. And I could take these and I could maybe stumble forward with them. I certainly could copy out each of these bullets and say, expand on these, give me more information on each of these, and it would. But without that information about my company, who I'm selling to, what I'm selling, it's going to give you very general answers like this. So I went back and I said, okay, let's make a better prompt. So my prompt now, I'm in charge of marketing for my small business, selling luxury writing instruments like fountain pens, stationery, mechanical pencils online through our website. Working on a marketing plan that will help me reach my first 1,000 customers. You're going to assist me in building that plan. I want your answers to be written targeting males between the age of 40 and 60 with a college education and higher income. So telling it who the market is, I get very specific with this persona. I'm telling them what the objectives are. I'm also giving an example of some of the products that I'm selling and how I'm selling it. So with that prompt, back to ChatGPT I go and I put that in, and it says, okay, I got it. Here's the marketing plan outline that as I see it. So the first thing it does is it breaks out my persona. It tells me and basically regurgitates what I told it my market was, but it organizes it in a fashion that now I can see it as more of a marketing target. And then it suggests some marketing channels that I could use: website, email, social media, content marketing, and so on. From there, it goes into an advertising strategy. Well, where should I advertise? How should I go about that? It gives me some of that. And then it also gives me some customer engagement and so on. And it continues on. And the last thing it does is, again, this being a conversation, it asks me a question. Where would you like to start refining or adding details? So I just an advertising strategy. It says to partner with niche influencers or bloggers and showcase your products with them. So I took that and I went back to ChatGPT and I said, identify 3 influencers in the luxury or stationary space and provide 3 workshop suggestions. So basically what I'm telling to do is say, okay, you're telling me I need to engage with these influencers and bloggers. I don't know anything about that. How do I do that? So I'm telling it, give me some examples. Show me where I need to go. How do I go about this? So it comes back and it has actually gone out onto the social media platforms and it has pulled back 3 folks that it considers to be influencers in the space. And I now can go out and I can do my own research and determine whether or not these are actually good candidates for me to pursue, engage with, maybe do those workshops that I was asking about, and see if I can strike up a good conversation. Because if I can get an influencer or two to mention my product, get a link to my website, maybe on some of their programming, that's going to boost my credibility in the space. It's going to bump up the relevancy of the content on my site if I'm leveraging it properly anyway, and allow me then to get some of that valuable focus on some of the search engines that see that, oh, that site that Earl has is actually getting some notice. It's getting some credibility out there. Maybe I should start directing some more traffic over there. And that's ideally what we're trying to do. So gave me the people, and I had asked it about workshops. So I said, okay, what about the workshops? And it says, okay, well, here you go. Here's 3 different workshops that we think would be good for you to maybe break the ice with these influencers, maybe do some collaboration with them. So the 3 topics that it provides there: the art of fine writing, mastering fountain pen techniques, and so on. You can read those. But again, I really haven't put a ton of work behind this. I'm asking questions and feeling out the market space, and it's providing all of this information back to me based on what it sees in these social media platforms, online, the research that it's done. It's seeing these as some of the more popular requests out there, and helping me by giving those so that I can then run with any 1 or 3 of those with these influencers. So again, if you're kind of at a standstill, you're not quite sure on how to engage out there with the digital market space, this would be a great way to start that. And this is building out that marketing plan in a pretty quick and easy way. This entire transaction right here probably took me all of 10 or 15 minutes. And if I was copying and pasting this into a Word document so that I could refer back to it later, I would then have, at the end of this session anyway, I should have a more formal marketing plan, and then be able to leverage that and capitalize on that with some actual applications within my business. It's giving you the how-to. It's up to you whether or not you would follow it exactly, but at the very least, it should spark some ideas internally to where you can improve some of the marketing for your small business. So as I said, if you get the slides after the fact, each of the examples that I use, I include links to some of the websites, stories, research that I did to generate the examples, so that you can kind of go back and get some of the backstories on some of the stuff that we're doing. All right, David, I don't see any questions at this point, so I'll continue on.
Neither did I.
Okay. So creating online content. The scenario that we have here with all this stuff that we put out online, you want to make sure that you're writing things that people find an interest in. You want to be in a situation where you know what someone's looking for out there. You can write good, relevant content, not only to service the needs of the user base, but also play the game that you need to play in order to be on Google's radar, right? So that's kind of what we're focusing in on here, is how do we create that relevant content that is something that people are actually going to read, and about things that people are actually looking for. So normally when I'm sitting down, I say, okay, I got to create some digital content for my website or social media platform, blog post, whatever it is, fill in the blank that you do on a regular basis. I start with a very broad topic, and I plug that into the GPT and say, okay, what's going on out there with this? And typically, one of the ways I do that is say, give me a list of potential headlines regarding this particular topic. And it'll go out and search based on the information I fed it, and it'll come back and say, well, based on what's going on out there and all the web, these are the headlines we think would be good headlines for you. From those headlines, I'll usually just kind of pick one and then create an outline of what my blog post or whatever might look like from that outline, and it'll generate that for me. And then if I choose to, let's say it's on a subject maybe on the fringes of my expertise, I might have the GPT go even further and build out some content under each of those bullet points to give me some writing prompts to then do some additional research maybe on my own, or maybe incorporate some other source to create my content. And then at the end, I will corroborate any kind of statements, data, any kind of sources that it provided. I'll corroborate those just to make sure that I'm not stumbling out there and giving somebody false information just because I'm not in the know. So I'll double check some of the statements that were made, some of the data that was provided, and so on, just to make sure that I'm not the victim of what we call hallucinations, where if you ask ChatGPT or any of the search engines a question, they're going to give you an answer. It does not necessarily mean it's correct. You do need to make sure that you're double checking some of this information. If they don't know, if the platforms don't know, they're still going to give you an answer. It's going to be their best guess. Doesn't mean that that it's factual. So you got to check some of that stuff. All right, so in this example, I'm using Gemini. So you're probably familiar with Gemini because if you're doing Google searches, the very first returns these days show a Gemini return, which is kind of a synopsis of its top organic searches, search results. So you're used to seeing that, but you can actually go to Gemini, the platform, and you can use it just like you do a ChatGPT or Grok or some of the others. perplexity is another big one that a lot of people use. So I used Gemini here, and I said, okay, I need to write a blog post about the resurgence of people using fountain pens. Provide 5 possible headlines for this blog post. So my big general topic is resurgence of people using fountain pens. And I asked it for 5 headlines for that. So it goes out, does a search, comes back, and gives me 5 headlines. So we see here that not only did it give me headlines, but some of them have plays on words. Some of them have a little bit of a marketing shtick to them. Some of them are just are solely focused on the writer. Some of them might have some information on the timing or the market presence that it has. So the pen renaissance is what I'm referring to there. But you have to look at these and say, okay, well, which one of those are kind of catchy? I think my market space might be willing to read something if they saw that headline. I'm going to pick that one. Or you say, yeah, I don't like any of those. All 5 of those are lousy. Give me 5 more, and have it do that. Or pick a couple and say, well, I like these 2, but make those into one really good one, and it can do that. So what I like is when it gave me these 5, not only didn't just give me 5 headlines, it gave me 5 headlines with explanations as to why it thought they were good ones. So I may or may not agree with that, but for the purposes of our demonstration today, I went ahead and I used one of the headlines, the Incredible. So my next prompt to Gemini was, okay, using the headline, the Incredible comeback, why fountain pens are making a splash again, create a 3-point outline for a blog post to promote fountain pen use. All right, so now I'm saying, okay, that's a great headline, but I'm not confident in my ability to really pull together an organized story around that. Help me out here. Give me an outline. So it does. It gives me 3-point outline here. You see items 1, 2, and 3. And then it tells me what I should probably write under each of those headline or those sections. So a couple good things here. My content, I've got a catchy headline. And now I've got content that's centered on that. So my relevancy should be pretty tight between headline and content. And now I've also got structure to my content. So what does structure do for me when it comes to search engine optimization and marketing? Well, you have a title of a blog post, or you have a title of this digital piece that you're doing. That title is extremely important to telling the search engines and the human being what this is all about. The more relevant that title is to what the person's searching for, the better your search engine optimization is. So while you're not seeing in this particular example here where I've done any kind of keyword phrase implementation here, normally you would sit back and say, okay, yeah, that's a great headline. Now rewrite that and use these keyword phrases that I know my audience looks for. And it would do that. Same thing here. Within the content of a story, within the content of a page, if you break it out into paragraphs, yes, that makes it easier for the user to read and get directly to what it is that they want to find out about. But it also gives you additional real estate, so to speak, to make the story more relevant to the search engines for what the person's searching for. So for instance, if I use each of the bullets that you see there, the allure of the analog, the fountain pen experience, beyond writing, those are 3 headers or subheaders within my content. I can use those subheaders to stuff in some keyword phrases, so to speak, and strengthen the search engine optimization of this content. So I can optimize this content by using those headers to my advantage and adding keyword phrases into it. Again, I haven't done it in this particular example, but normally what I would do is I would create my content as I see it, and then I would go back and say, okay, I know my people, the people who read my content, that come to my website, that are searching for my products and services, they call it this, they call it this, they use this phrase, they use this term. I want you to use those phrases and terms and rewrite the content containing that. And it would do that. So it gives you the opportunity to not only write the article, organize the article, make it user friendly, but then gives you the structure you need to go back in and say, okay, let's optimize this even further for search engine optimization and add some keyword phrases and the like. So here we sit. We've got our outline, and we could, if you'd like to write, you could probably take this right here and just dump it into a Word document and start writing. Provided, of course, you know something about fountain pens, you could do that. And I'm a fountain pen geek, in case you were wondering why is he using something like that. But it's a pretty safe subject matter to use in classroom settings. So if you know anything about fountain pens, you could take this and you could run with it and write. But if you don't, it's not a huge issue. You could pick any of these bullets and go back into Gemini and say, hey, don't know much about customization and personalization of a fountain pen. What do I need to know there? Give me 2 paragraphs on that. And it would go out, do that, and bring it back to you so that then you could make it your own. So moving away from the textual piece of this blog post or whatever it is that I'm creating, we all know that if we're out there and we're going to put anything on the digital space, we can't just post a bunch of texts. Nobody really gets all that excited about getting smacked in the face with 3 or 4 paragraphs to read, but a picture can help break things up, can help bring the attention that we want, that we're looking for. So I've gone ahead and said, okay, I got my blog post. We know what it's about. I need some pictures to go with it. So I tell Gemini, hey, Gemini, give me 3 choices of pictures promoting fountain pen use. That was my first prompt. And what you see on the screen is what I got back. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I asked you for pictures. You came back and gave me a screen full of words. That doesn't work for me. So you see here that it's kind of broken down the types of images that I could use, focus on the experience, or highlight customization, or connect to creativity, and that gives me a description of what the image might be that I could use. So that's all well and good, and I guess if I'm a photographer and I have some creativity and some time, I could recreate any of those and run with it. But you know what? I'm a small business owner. I don't have the time for that. I didn't take a class in photography. I don't think I can get my lighting right and do this right. So I got to do better than that. So I go back to Gemini and say, okay, obviously I screwed that up. Here's a better prompt. So I said, create an image of a close-up photo of a handwriting with a fountain pen on beautiful high-quality paper, and so on, so on. Basically, what I did is I copied this first image description and told it to create an image. Up here, I said, give me 3 choices. Here, I'm saying, create an image. And then I fill in exactly what I want that image to be. When I did that, I got pictures, which is what I wanted in the first place. So when it came back, it gave me these three pictures to choose from. So you have to ask yourself at this point, are these the right pictures? Are these portraying what I want? Are these brand friendly to my brand? Are they catchy enough to get somebody's attention? All these things, but there's one question for certain you need to ask yourself is, am I going to use this or am I not? What about the intellectual property issues? If you're using any of these platforms, understand that it's gathering information from what it finds on the internet. That information, especially when we're talking about pictures and textual content, that was created by someone else. It was not created by you. So is this yours? The answer is no, it's not yours. It's a derivative of somebody else's content. So you may not be in a very good position to take any of these images and just slap them in um, your digital content and run with it. So that's the number one issue. You need to ask yourself, am I willing to take that risk? The best way to get around that is have your own images that you've taken. And when you do the request for the image, tell Gemini where to go to find the images and say, okay, of all the images I have in my folder that I took with my camera, I want to generate this. And it will do that. And you know that the source of those photos was indeed yours. You owned it. So that's one way to go around. Some of your platforms that you may be using already may allow or have tools incorporated with them that will allow you to do this safely as well. So Canva, Adobe, some of your stock photo websites, they all now have incorporated AI to some degree, and you may be able to safely with your license agreement with those platforms, you may be able to create photos and artwork and the like through those that is safe. But do know the rules. Do know that you are content something that you have permission to do so. So if you get beyond that, the next thing you want to do is in AI, you want to count fingers. You want to count toes, and do those types of exercises as well. AI is notoriously horrible at drawing human hands. So this particular picture has a hand in it, and that that's one of the first things I checked was how many fingers do we have? 5 fingers in there. So check those kinds of obvious things that sometimes slip by. The other thing you want to check is I run all my photos back through Google search, and you can take a photo, you can drag and drop it into the search box, and it'll come back and show you any photos that it found that look similar to that, and see if you can find anything that might be questionable from an IP standpoint. As it was, I checked all 3 of these. I could not find anything that duplicated it. However, like I said, I know that these all came from freely available content. So for instance, that one in the bottom right shows a page in a book with some drawings on it. I'm pretty certain that AI probably did not generate that detail. That probably exists out there somewhere. So I would be very uncomfortable using that information, even though Google couldn't seem to put a finger on it. So it's stuff like that that you want to look for as well. And then that middle picture, I would lose all credibility as a fountain pen expert if I posted that picture with a blog post. We have pins there that don't have proper links. We have pins that are capped permanently, it looks like. We have pins that don't have nibs on them. There's all kinds of technical issues with that photo. So if I posted that out there, no matter how great and wonderful my text was, I would probably be laughed at for that one. So just think about those things when you're creating some of this information. I think a question here about legal risks and need to be aware of when using AI generated content besides photos. Yeah, so we're probably talking primarily about the text that we're creating, understand that if you do a copy paste on that text, you do run the risk of the fact that you're probably pulling someone else's information that is maybe very close to what they had written as an original. So that would run into issues from a copyright standpoint. And understand this, anything that can be considered artistic has an implied copyright on it. If you're sitting there right now taking notes on a notepad for this presentation, what you are writing down on your notepad has an implied copyright on it. You do not have to make a formal filing for there to be some protections involved. Certainly, you want to make a filing if you want to be able to stand up in a court of law and prove that it is yours as of a certain date and so on. So that's why we have the copywriting. But I only say that to say, look, somebody wrote something on their website. They probably didn't copyright it, but it's still theirs. And if Gemini or ChatGPT or any of these GPTs use that text to create what you now are going to use in your blog post, and it can be traced back, then you are indeed copyright infringement right there. So using these engines to pull together the outlines, pull together the facts, the data, and those types of things, and then writing or rewriting what you are provided is the best way to handle that. Don't just copy and paste content. Let's see here. If we create an image, can we cite the source and credit the original artist? So you certainly do want to cite the source. The thing is, if you just cite the source and you don't get permission, you're still infringing copyright, because you have to have permission. Citing the source is not permission. You do have to go to that source and say, hey, I'd like to use your photo, your artwork in my post or in my content here, and you have to get permission to do so. Just simply putting the name of, hey, this was Getty's image. I'm sorry. Basically, what you're doing is you're telling Getty's that, yeah, I used your photo, and to prove it, I'm going to put your name on it. So that's probably not a good deal there. So yeah, it has to go beyond just citing it. So glad you're sharing this about IP. Certainly, it's $25,000 per offense, folks. So it's not a inexpensive gotcha there if you do this wrong. So happy to help you avoid that. So as a photographer, thank you for sharing permissions. Absolutely. We all work hard at our trade, no matter what we do. You deserve to get the credit, get the bang for the buck from it. So I'll definitely try to keep that going. All right. So again, there's the links for this particular example. This is probably one of the most popular ones that people are using the platforms for right now. Trust me, there are a ton of other things you can do with AI with regards to marketing. I do have, like I said, additional examples on this slide deck. If you get this after the fact, there's one that shows you how to basically go back to a competitor's website, pull what keyword phrases they're using to place well in the search engines, so that you can ask yourself, am I doing this right? If they're constantly getting the lion's share of the search engine's attention and I'm not, let's reverse engineer what they're doing, and it shows you how to go in and feed an example to one of the chat GPTs, or I forget which one I use in that one, and it scrapes all the keyword phrases out of the website, and then and now I have kind of a new outlook on how I should be approaching content on my website, maybe so that I can compete with that site that's doing so well out there, that competitive site, competitor's site that's doing so well. And then also have a class where we take the content from your website. We basically dump a page from a website into one of the GPTs, and we say, okay, rewrite all of this so that we can get better search engine optimization using specific keyword phrases. So definitely worthwhile if you're kind of stagnant with the website or any of your digital content for that matter. You pumping a lot of things out there, but you're not getting a lot in return. You're not getting the engagement. You're not getting likes or feedback or reposts or anything like that. Then, you know, you need to step up the game a little bit, and this will help remove some of the mysteries behind, well, how's that person over there getting 10,000 views and I'm getting crickets over here? You can actually mimic some of their styles and some of their ways of going about content generation, and maybe start to see some similar results. So those are all things that you can do with AI, and do it quickly. It's pretty easy to do. Now, I've put together a list here, certainly not comprehensive. There are a ton of resources out there. These things are coming up left and right. It seems like some of them do things well, some of them don't do things so well. Some of them tap credible sources. Some of them will give you they will cite the sources that they're pulling from. Don't find the ones that you like to work with that give you the answers that you're looking for in the format that you are comfortable with, and use those. If you're like me, I have two or three that I have as go-tos. And then if I have a specific thing that I'm working on that I think, I'll just pull one from the list here and say Claude. I think Claude would do a really good job at that. I will go ahead and have Claude do that one specific thing, and take care of it that way. The other thing I will also say is there are free versions and there are paid versions of AI out there. Most of what we do with our examples use free versions, but understand that if you get the paid versions, typically you'll have more capacity. You'll be able to use them longer for a wider range of things. You also may be able to privatize what you're doing within the platform. So let me explain that real quick. If you're putting things into AI, understand that everything that you put into AI is not only teaching that AI, we'll just use Gemini as an example. You're not only teaching Gemini what you just gave it, you're teaching Gemini to use that for everybody else who comes in and asks a question. So right now, using the example that I had, all that stuff I dumped into Gemini on fountain pens, that's now available for the next person that comes in and wants to know something about fountain pens. So understand, if you're dumping something in there, it is no longer a secret, and it can be accessed by others. So if you want to privatize that, if you want to get your own little GPT bubble, so to speak, where you get to use the smarts of the platform, but not necessarily release all of your information to the world, that's typically a paid version of the model. So understand that also. All right. I really don't have anything else on the subject. Do we have any other questions?
Is my printer started? Earl, this is David.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we'll have a intellectual property piece by a lawyer, which will address some of this. And Doug Lineberry is from Greenville. And one of the points Doug pointed out to SCORE mentors was that if you do a business plan on AI, then it is public information. And so if you have an intellectual property piece Do not put that into the document. Hold a space, pull the draft off of the internet and make it private on your computer, on your own system. And then you can enter that IP piece and send it to whoever you want it to, a bank or a financier or a potential partner, kind of thing. But that IP piece
Yep.
needs to stay out of the public domain.
Absolutely. Yep. And for those of you who have not interacted with Doug Lineberry and his knowledge on IP, you're going to have a treat there. Doug's very entertaining, and he knows his stuff when it comes to IP. The everything I told you today about IP and what to do and not to do, I learned all that from Doug. So if that's part of your world, and it's part of everybody's world to some degree, but if it's a big part of your world, you definitely want to come to that session. It'll be a good one. I'm not seeing anything other than thank yous and appreciation, which I very much appreciate that myself. So thank you very much. Let's see, there's a question. If you adjust the settings to ChatGPT and change it to the setting where it does not share your information, does it work on the free version? I don't believe you have that option on the free version. I think you have to have the paid version for that, but I could have that confused with other platforms. So double check that. And I would also say, even if you go with a paid version, go in and check the settings, because I was working with one of my peers the other day, and he said that he noticed that when he signed up with a client on one of the platforms, that it defaulted to sharing. It did not default to keeping it private. So double check your settings. All right, I think that's all of them. Appreciate everybody coming out today, and hopefully we'll see you again on another program soon, huh?
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. If you need SCORE services, just score.org. Thank you. Oops, some more. I guess we got them all.
Yep, I think you can go ahead and stop the recording at this point. And
Yeah.
I think you got everything you need from me. What was the high number, Mark, on